This is a free Ford Falcon that we turned from this to this in just 3 weeks. So how much money did it end up costing me to fund my Forg addiction, to turn this unregistered crash-damaged Forg into the womp womp it is today? Stay tuned to the end of the video and find out just how much money that I have dumped into this, and let me know, was it all worth it? So at the Tough Collective Volume 2 meet that we had at Midland Autobahn, I had one of my old friends come up to me and offer this Ford XT in offshore blue for free. There was only one problem. It was unregistered and had a front end crash happen to it 2 years ago. Now let's go through just some of the mods that we had to do so you guys can get a scope of what we had to do first before we started to modify it and turn it into the womp womp we all know and love. So to start the journey off, we had to get the car registered. So to get the car over the pits, we had to replace a lot of parts. We had to drift stitch the front bumper, replace the hood of the car. We also had to change the driver's side front fender because that was also crumpled up. We also had to replace the roof lining because that was saggy. And the 17.5 TV, that was optional. There was a few minor things to the interior that we really had to change, but most of it was exterior. The car was free, but it was also running, so that ended up saving us an unknown amount of money. We then had to use one of our many rims to get it over the pits because the tread on the tires that it came with, for some reason, the rears were bald. Not sure how that could have happened. Let me know in the description. Have you guys ever come across that before in a Falcon or a Commodore? So I created this, Richy's Forg Addiction. So that way I could see just how much money I have spent on this. Now this list right now is just to see how much it cost to get us over the pits, and then we'll see just how much money I spent to make it look like the womp womp. Making this list basically almost gave me a heart attack, but Daniel and Spot reminded me that I got the car for free, so the initial cost of the car would have increased just how much I would have spent on the car anyway. So it's almost like the mods cost me nothing at all. Now don't tell that to our financial advisor because they would not like that. So how much do you guys actually think I spent on this? Before we dive into any numbers, how much do you think I spent on this? 10 grand? 15 grand? Now remember, I got the car for free, but we still had to tow it, we still had to get it over the pits. How much do you guys think that I spent on the womp womp in total? To get it over the pits twice, it cost us $500 in total for 2 times. Now the permits for driving them was $35 each. So that is $70 because we had to take it over the pits twice. Now the initial tow for when we got it, that was $350. The replacement roof liner, now that I had to get in short notice, so I paid a bit extra, so that was $450. I had to replace the driver's side window actuator, and that was $300. Now, the tint surrounding the car, that was pretty shot, so that was $400. And I got the darkest legal. We ended up grabbing some parts that we didn't actually need, so you would have seen it looked really odd. With a mixed-matched hood, that was silver. We got a new front bumper that didn't fit, and I also got some headlights that we ended up destroying anyway. But all of those cost me 350 bucks. Last but not least, we had to pay rego, and we had to get some temporary plates. So the rego was $400, and the temporary plates were $140. Now, drum roll please, the final number is $2,960. Now, I like to think of that as that is my initial cost of the car. That is how much it ended up costing me to get the car unmodified. So $2,960. Is that a fair price? A 2004 Ford Falcon XT in offshore blue, and looking how it did, I think that's a pretty fair price. It has 230,000 Ks. It's relatively all right and great condition and it runs. Now, for the moment that everybody has been waiting for. Now I'm going to go and do the math for how much it cost me to modify the womp womp. And that number is a bit more than this. Yeah, now it is time for you guys to see how much I spent on all of this. Now, the number is not the nicest number. There's nothing on here, I don't know why I'm hiding it from you guys. But I've calculated on my phone. Let's go. I'm going to group up basically all the body parts that I had to get for it. I had to get the XR8 bonnet, headlights that come with halos. I had to get the new XR6 front bumper with the rear bumper and also the bottom part of the rear bumper because we didn't want a tow ball exit, so we had to get that deleted. So we got a new one, and also the driver's side front fender. Now, all of that came to a pretty decent number because if I was to get them online, they would have cost me about $4 grand. And I wanted them unpainted so that way we could paint them and they'd look really nice. be no scuffs or anything like that. But I found some guy on Facebook Marketplace. The price was $2,100. Now, that might seem like a lot, but it is still a lot. But I like to think as things go, as options were, that is the cheapest option. And $2,100 just for the parts, absolutely, absolutely amazing. Now, for the TV. Now, I got that off eBay. It was 17.5 inches. Now, with delivery and all these other nonsense things that eBay add to it, that ended up costing me about $400. Now, that is pretty good. It comes with Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, a HDMI port, USB, everything. Even comes with a wireless controller, so you can actually use a cursor on it. Now, we got a pretty nice deal on the wheels and the tires because we bought them all in a package. That comes down to $2,100. It's slowly starting to add up. Yay. Now for the paint. How do we get it looking so good? Now, that is thanks to one man and one man only. Ash from WA Automotive Paint Repair. Make sure to hit him up, check him out. A lot of you guys recommended him to me when I was looking for a painter, and I do not regret it. He was amazing. Very, very articulate with his work. He's very, very good, and he cares about his work. If you need anything and you're in Perth, you really want to start diving into things like this, project cars, hit him up. He'll give you a great deal. So, with the paint, it ended up costing us, because they were unpainted, there wasn't a lot of prep work for it, so that does help with the price, $1,100. Now, that is pretty cheap. So, another thank you to Ash from WA Automotive Paint Repair. Check him out. Now, for the Womp Womp plates, they were, as everybody already knows if you want custom plates, they were $600. Unfortunately, they're acrylic, but if you want to fit 9 characters in here in WA, I'm not sure about the other states, you need acrylic plates. So the big number, how much it cost me to modify the Womp Womp Falcon. Oh, now that number is a whopping $6,300 flat. Now that is a lot of money. So now the answer that you all have waited for. How much in total did I spend on the Womp Womp? Now, a lot of you guys might have already figured it out, you smarty pants, but bear in mind, this is also within the span of 3 weeks. The videos were spread out, obviously, but the time span between picking up the car, getting it registered, modifying it to make it look like this was over about 3.5 weeks. In saying that, I reveal the total amount spent, start until now for the Womp Womp, is a total of $9,260. I am feeling very weak at the knees in spending this much money in 3 weeks. We have saved a lot of money on labor, a lot of money on parts, and a lot of money on paint and all that. So I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has helped along the Womp Womp journey, and especially to you guys watching the videos. Your support has kept this build going and all our other builds. We've got the VF, we've got the Mang, still here, still alive, and the One Done. Your support has meant so much to Dan, Spotto, and I, and everyone here at the Top Collective. So a massive thank you, and thank you again, WA Automotive Paint Repair. Thank you to everyone that has helped, and especially thank you to Daniel for doing all the work. As always, what do you guys think? Is this car worth spending almost 10 grand on in 3 weeks? What would you have done differently? Would you have made the XR conversion? Would you have just kept it stock and spent $2,000 on it? What would you have done? How would you have done it? What do you want to see next? Let us know in the comments down below. Make sure to stay tuned because the One Done is just outside and we're just waiting on one more part, and then it'll get tuned with the giant Wuhan war whistle from Max Speeding Rods. Kind of lonely without Dan on spot here, but subscribe. Click the link, subscribe. It really helps us out.